When we reach this beautiful age, we start treasuring something more than anything else: our independence. We want to live our lives on our own terms, without relying on others for the simple things: tying our shoes, driving to the store, making our own coffee. That independence is our dignity. It is our greatest asset. But there is one silent enemy that threatens that independence completely, and we often mistake it for just getting old or simple tiredness. It's the quiet threat of a stroke. We are not talking about the massive immediate events that everyone recognizes. We are talking about the subtle warnings, the whispers our body sends that we immediately wave away. We wave them away because we are busy. We wave them away because we don't want to worry the children. And most of all, we wave them away because we truly believe we just didn't get enough sleep last night. We are going to discuss 3 specific quiet warning signs today. If you recognize them, please do not wait. Your future peace and your ability to stay in your own home might depend on catching them in time. The first quiet warning sign is the sudden difficulty with everyday, simple coordination, specifically on one side of your body, usually mistaken for stiffness or arthritis. Think about your morning routine. You grab your favorite coffee mug, but your grip feels suddenly weak. Not weak like you need to lift weights, but weak like your fingers are forgetting the job. The cup feels heavier than usual. Or maybe you're buttoning your shirt before church, and your dominant hand suddenly feels clumsy, missing the buttonhole repeatedly. You get frustrated, maybe you drop the remote control or fumble the key in the lock. We always have an easy explanation for this, don't we? Oh, I must have slept on it funny. Or, my arthritis is really acting up today. That momentary feeling of unilateral confusion, weakness, or numbness in just one arm or one leg, that's a major red flag. If it comes and goes quickly, sometimes lasting only 30 seconds, we dismiss it. But that brief, unexplained weakness on one side of the body is often the brain testing its systems before a bigger, more permanent event. If you cannot perform a simple task like picking up a piece of silverware or slipping on your slippers without that side of your body acting strangely, please stop and observe. A momentary lapse in strength or coordination that only affects one side is the body's urgent signal. Listen to it. Don't wait until the feeling goes away and then forget it ever happened. Now, let's talk about the second quiet warning sign. This one attacks your stability and vision, and it's especially dangerous because we so often confuse it with simple dehydration or low blood sugar. This is sudden, intense, unexplained spinning or temporary vision changes in just one eye. It happens fast. Maybe you stand up from the armchair after watching the news, and the room spins violently. Not just a slight head rush, but true vertigo that forces you to grab the wall or the back of a chair. We always blame standing up too fast, right? But if that dizziness feels intense, lasts longer than 10 seconds, or, crucially, if it's paired with a brief moment where you lose vision completely in only one eye, even for 30 seconds, that demands urgent medical attention. Vision changes are some of the easiest stroke warnings to ignore. We often say, "I saw spots," or "the light was too bright," or "I must need new glasses." But if the vision loss is quick, one-sided, and feels like a curtain dropped down over one eye, or if you suddenly see double, that is often a transient ischemic attack, a TIA, or a mini-stroke. Your body is shouting, but you are hearing a whisper, and we are conditioned to ignore the whispers, especially when we feel a little tired. These quick, transient attacks are vital warnings. They tell us that the blood flow to the brain is being interrupted and the system is unstable. Ignoring them is the most common mistake seniors make when trying to protect their independence. The difference between calling the doctor right after a 30-second episode and waiting until the next day can be the difference between a full recovery and losing the ability to care for yourself. We must protect our physical health, our brain, our mobility, as the first step toward safeguarding our beautiful independence. But independence is threatened by more than just hidden health crises. It is also threatened by the things we see every day but often ignore, things that chip away at our dignity and sense of control. We have yet to discuss the third crucial warning sign that seniors ignore, a sign related to sudden changes in speech that are easily dismissed as memory lapse or difficulty finding words. We will cover that in depth in the next segment. And then, we will turn our attention to the second pillar of lasting independence, protecting our peace and dignity at home by dealing with the silent danger hiding in plain sight, the clutter that steals our space, causes unexpected accidents, and creates an environment of shame and anxiety. That physical and financial clutter must be tackled with the same urgency we use to spot these health warnings. Because truly, aging well means protecting the body, the home, and the wallet. We've talked about that sneaky numbness, the tingling down one arm you thought was just sleeping wrong. But we must move quickly, because the clock is always ticking when your independence is on the line. We are covering the quiet warnings, the ones that whisper instead of shouting. These whispers are easy to confuse with the everyday aches and pains of simply being 60 or 70 or 80. Listen closely now, because we're moving to quiet warning sign number 2. This sign threatens not only your health, but your ability to walk confidently across your living room floor or even to pour a cup of coffee without spilling. Quiet warning sign number 2. The sudden confusing loss of vision or balance. Think about this moment. You stand up from the kitchen table after finishing your tea. For just a few seconds, the room spins violently. You grab the back of the chair to steady yourself. It passes quickly. What do you tell yourself? Oh, I stood up too fast. Or, my blood pressure must be low again. Or perhaps you're sitting down, focused on reading the newspaper or the instructions on a new medication bottle. Suddenly, one eye feels fuzzy, like a sheet of water passed over it. It only lasts for 10 seconds, 15 at most, and then everything is crystal clear again. We dismiss these episodes because they are temporary. But my dear friend, these sudden momentary changes in vision or balance are sometimes the body sounding a quiet but urgent alarm from the brain. This is not the same as gradually needing stronger reading glasses. We're talking about immediate, distinct changes, temporary double vision, or a brief shadow across the field of one eye, or feeling like the world has tilted sideways for a moment. Why is this so dangerous for us? Because when we lose our balance suddenly, we fall. And a fall for someone our age is not just painful, it is often the direct path to losing independence. A broken hip, a head injury, these things put us into the hospital and sometimes into a recovery situation we never fully escape. Protecting your independence means taking these fleeting visual and balance disturbances seriously. If you have an episode where your vision blurs significantly in one eye, or if you feel a dizziness so intense you have to sit down immediately, you must act. Do not wait for it to happen a second time. Many of us hesitate. We worry about bothering the family, or we think about the expense of an unnecessary emergency visit. But let me offer you some true wisdom on spending money. Waiting to treat a stroke costs infinitely more in rehabilitation, home care, and the crushing emotional cost of relying entirely on others. Immediate action is the wisest investment you can make in your future, health and financial stability. Remember the acronym F.A.S.T. We use it for the big, obvious signs, but we need to use it for these small, quiet warnings too. If your vision suddenly changes, even briefly, it's time to call for help. Now, let's talk about the final quiet warning sign. This one is perhaps the most confusing because it affects the very core of how we communicate and process information. It's easy to blame this on simply being tired, stressed, or having a senior moment. Quiet warning. Sign number 3 deals with sudden, mild difficulty in thought or speech. Imagine you are trying to tell your grandchild a story, or perhaps you are giving directions to the repairman. You know exactly the word you want to use, but when you open your mouth, the word that comes out is all wrong. Or perhaps your speech sounds just slightly slurred, but only for one short sentence. Or maybe you find yourself confused about a simple task you do every day. You're standing in the pantry, staring at the coffee beans, and you cannot remember the steps to brew the coffee. Not because you forgot them permanently, but because for a brief, alarming minute, the sequence of making coffee has vanished. This is often dismissed as simple mental fatigue, but it is a critical distinction we must make. If this confusion or mild language difficulty appears suddenly and without clear reason, we cannot ignore it. It is the subtle threat to the clear mind and dignity you have worked so hard to maintain. We need to dive deep into this third warning sign, especially how to tell the difference between normal aging confusion and a serious neurological event. And crucially, we need to discuss a practical habit, a simple daily check that can protect you from these quiet threats and safeguard your independence. But first, let's take a moment to look at how these quiet health warnings connect directly to maintaining a peaceful home and solid finances, which is what we will do next. Stick with me, because the strategy we are about to discuss is essential for every senior living alone. We have covered two subtle warnings that often hide in plain sight: the sudden isolated dizziness and the visual disturbance that looks like an old TV screen blurring. Now we come to the third, and perhaps quietest, warning sign of a major event. This sign is so commonly mistaken for simple aging that it is frequently ignored until it's too late. This warning sign involves your communication. I'm talking about a sudden minor difficulty finding your words or a temporary slurring of your speech, often when you are otherwise fine. We all have senior moments, of course. You walk into the kitchen and forget why, or you can't remember the name of that actor who was just on the news. This is normal frustration. But what we are discussing here is different. It is sudden. It happens when you are trying to describe a very common object, maybe the name of your dog or the color of your neighbor's car, and that word is just gone, completely blocked. It's the simple, everyday language that fails you. Perhaps you try to describe what you want at the grocery counter, and your brain offers up the wrong, completely unrelated word instead. Or you feel your tongue is suddenly thick, and simple words like "the" or "and" come out slurred, only to clear up seconds later. This temporary linguistic confusion, or very minor slurring, medically called dysarthria or a very minor aphasia, is a powerful sign that your brain's oxygen supply has been temporarily compromised. We often brush this off by saying, "I guess I just need more sleep," or "I was trying to do too many things at once." But if you notice this happening suddenly, even for a minute or two, especially when paired with a feeling of unusual fatigue or heaviness in one side of your body, you must treat it seriously. Remember the goal: protecting your independence. Once a major stroke hits, that independence is severely compromised. Finding your words and being able to communicate clearly are fundamental to staying safe, keeping your dignity, and managing your own affairs. If these three quiet warnings are the subtle knock at the door, the next thing we need to discuss is the fire alarm. What do you do in the moment you suspect one of these signs? Waiting is the single most dangerous mistake. We know that during a stroke, brain cells die every second. The difference between recovery and severe disability often comes down to minutes. Many seniors hesitate to call for help because they fear being embarrassed, or because they worry about the cost of the ambulance, or they simply think they are being dramatic. If you notice sudden dizziness, if your vision suddenly blurs, or if you lose your words, do not, under any circumstance, try to drive yourself to the hospital or wait for a family member to get home from work. Your immediate action is to call emergency services, 911. Use the simple, clear protocol, modified for these quiet warnings. Remember the classic F.A.S.T test, but apply it to your current feeling. If you feel sudden weakness or unexplained fatigue in your face, arm, or leg, try the test. F.A.S. Ask yourself to smile. Does one side droop? This is a less subtle sign, but essential to check. Arms. Raise both arms. Does one drift down? Zrod Peach. Check for slurring or that difficulty finding common words. If any of these things happen suddenly, or if you experience the dizziness, the vision problems, or the lost words we've just discussed, call immediately. If you live alone, keep your phone near you at all times. If you are reluctant to call 911, remember that the alternative is losing the ability to care for yourself and potentially needing round-the-clock care, losing your home, and losing your savings. Calling the emergency line is protecting your most precious assets, your health and your independence. Now, let's pivot from immediate danger to daily wisdom. Because the greatest tool against a stroke is not what you do in an emergency, but what you do every day to protect your home and your body. The architect of most strokes is high blood pressure. It is the silent, persistent hammer that damages your blood vessels, making them vulnerable to blockage or bursting. You must make checking your blood pressure a standard part of your daily rhythm, just like making coffee or closing the curtains at night. If you don't own a home blood pressure monitor, invest in one immediately. It is an inexpensive piece of equipment that provides priceless protection for your future. Check it at the same time every day, ideally in the morning before your medication and coffee. Write the reading down. This is your personal health logbook, and it is crucial information for your doctor. Many seniors resist taking blood pressure medication because they worry about side effects, or they forget to take the pills consistently, or they try to save money by cutting doses in half. This is a dangerous economy. Trying to save a few dollars on medication can cost you your independence, your mobility, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical care later. Your doctor has carefully prescribed medication to keep that silent pressure under control. Protecting your health means respecting that routine. If you are struggling with medication costs, or if you feel the side effects are too much, you must talk to your physician and pharmacist immediately. Do not self-adjust your dosage. There are alternatives, there are generic options, there are support programs. Protecting your peaceful home life starts with protecting your health foundation. In our next and final part, we will move deeper into securing your wisdom for the long haul. We will talk about one of the most critical habits seniors must adopt to prevent silent damage, a habit that goes beyond just checking your pressure. We will also discuss the financial wisdom required to manage rising medication and treatment costs, ensuring you protect your life savings and your dignity while aging. This is about making sure that your money supports your health, not the other way around. We have looked closely at the quiet signs that mimic simple tiredness, the sudden fleeting weakness in your limb, and the brief visual disturbance that comes and goes quickly. Now, let's talk about the third and perhaps most confusing silent warning. This is the moment when your brain briefly switches off its usual map. It's a sudden fog or confusion, often dismissed instantly as a poor night's sleep or just a senior moment. This confusion is more than misplacing your keys. It strikes during a routine task. You are standing in the kitchen about to make your afternoon tea, something you have done 5,000 times. Suddenly, you look at the kettle, the sugar, and the teacup, and the sequential steps disappear. You know you want tea, but the process of boiling the water, putting the bag in, and pouring feels impossible or jumbled. Or perhaps you try to tell your story to a friend on the phone, and the familiar words simply won't form. You feel the meaning inside you, but when the sound comes out, it is slurred, disconnected, or nonsensical. You quickly hang up, embarrassed, blaming the fatigue of the day. If this jumbled thinking lasts even for a minute, it is a crucial warning. Your brain is signaling a desperate need for oxygen. Do not try to sleep it off. Do not try to push through the confusion. This is where true elder wisdom steps in, protecting your independence. The overwhelming fear we all share is losing control of our bodies, our homes, and our decisions. Many seniors hesitate to call for help because they fear being an imposition, or worse, being taken to the hospital and forced into a nursing home. We fear the chaos and the cost, but delaying help is the fastest way to guarantee those outcomes. When dealing with a potential stroke, time is not just money. Time is brain. Every second wasted waiting to see if the symptoms go away means more brain tissue dies. That damage leads directly to the loss of movement, speech, and the independence you cherish. If you recognize any of these three quiet signs, the weak limb, the sudden vision lapse, or the momentary confusion, your immediate action is the only thing that matters. You must call for emergency services right away. Do not call your neighbor. Do not call your child first. Call the professionals who can start the clock on treatment. If you live alone, keep your emergency services number clearly visible by every phone, even the cordless ones. If you rely on a mobile phone, ensure you know how to trigger emergency mode without needing perfect dexterity. Practicing this simple step right now is the simplest, most profound protection you can offer yourself. This urgent health protection is tied directly to managing your money wisely and keeping your home peaceful. Avoiding a major stroke means avoiding massive catastrophic medical bills and the expenses associated with long-term care, ramps, and necessary home modifications. Protecting your health through quick action is the ultimate financial wisdom. It ensures your savings are used for life enjoyment, not for crisis management. It ensures you can stay in your own bed, in your own home. We have faced down these subtle, silent stroke threats. We have reinforced the need for immediate, decisive action to preserve our dignity and freedom. But protecting your health is an ongoing commitment, especially regarding independence. Strokes and falls are two of the biggest threats to aging well. There is one critical daily habit, something many of us do every single evening without thinking, that silently undermines all your efforts to maintain balance and sharp memory. This habit dramatically increases your risk of a sudden fall at night or deep memory confusion later on. Next, we will address this nightly routine and give you the simple, immediate change you can make today to secure a safer, clearer, and more peaceful life. Don't go anywhere.